Lucid Dreaming. What is it? Author, Michael Reiter. Introduction. Welcome, traveler. This workbook is your doorway into a vast inner frontier where neuroscience meets myth, where psychology becomes a compass, and where your mind opens into landscapes shaped by memory, emotion, and imagination. Lucid dreaming is not just a skill. It is a practice, a philosophy, and a tool for healing, especially for those who have endured trauma, accidents, or sudden life changes. When explored with intention, lucid dreams become a laboratory for rewiring the brain, a ritual space for confronting inner shadows, a training ground for emotional resilience, and a bridge between waking struggles and deeper clarity. Throughout this book, you will follow the journey of Elias, a traveler learning to navigate a dream world shaped both by neuroscience and by ancient spiritual traditions. His story will appear between the guide sections, showing you how the techniques work in practice. Each narrative moment gives way to a chapter of structured knowledge, clear instructions, practical steps, psychological explanations, and the deeper why that makes these practices transformative. Before we begin, know this. The dreaming mind is not chaos. It is communication. And you are about to learn its language. Chapter 1. Part 1. Workbook Guidance. Foundations of Lucid Dreaming. What lucid dreaming actually is. Lucid dreaming is the conscious awareness that you are dreaming while the dream is still happening. This state activates a unique blend of brain regions: prefrontal cortex, logic, planning, self-awareness, flickers partially back online. Visual and emotional centers remain highly active. Motor inhibition keeps your body safely asleep while your mind explores. This combination allows you to observe the dream environment with clarity, make decisions, influence events, work on emotional or psychological challenges. It is not mystical by default, yet it overlaps closely with many spiritual practices: Tibetan dream yoga, indigenous shamanic journeying, Sufi imaginal work, Taoist inner landscape meditations. Each tradition uses the dream state to expand awareness, confront inner obstacles, and access insight beyond ordinary waking thinking. This workbook takes those ancient ideas and grounds them in neuroscience, psychology, and repeatable practice. Why start with awareness training? Most people fail at lucid dreaming because they treat it like a trick. It's a skill, and like any skill, it begins with awareness. Dream awareness starts with waking awareness. Your daily habits become the code your dreaming mind runs at night. Training your mind to notice details, question reality, and observe your inner state during the day makes your dream self do the same. This is how lucidity begins. Core Practice 1. The Anchor Breath. This is your most important beginner tool. It stabilizes your mind, raises awareness, and becomes a bridge between waking and dream states. Instructions. Sit comfortably. Inhale slowly through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 2 seconds. Exhale gently for 6 seconds. As you breathe out, mentally label your state. I am aware. Continue for 1 to 2 minutes. Do this upon waking, before sleep, anytime you feel disconnected or stressed. This breathing technique also slows your nervous system, shifting you into a calmer state that makes dream recall easier. Core Practice 2. Daily reality checks. Reality checks help build the habit of questioning your environment.
Choose 2 or 3 of these. Look at your hand. Am I dreaming? Try pushing your finger through your palm. Count your fingers. Look away from writing or a clock, then look again. Ask yourself, how did I get here? Do these 10 to 12 times per day. The goal isn't to catch a dream, it's to program your subconscious to ask the same question at night. Core Practice 3, the Dream Journal. Dream journaling trains your recall and strengthens dream-forming circuits. Upon waking, don't move. Don't check your phone. Ask yourself, what was I just experiencing? Write down images, characters, emotions, physical sensations, themes. Even fragments matter. Within 1 to 2 weeks, most people report clearer dream memory, more vivid imagery, longer dreams. This will be essential for later chapters. Part 2. Narrative. Elias awakens. Elias had not dreamed clearly in months. Or maybe he had, but the dream slipped away each morning like water draining through cupped hands. Since the accident, everything felt that way. His memories fogged, his emotions dulled. The vibrant inner world he once visited in sleep reduced to static. But tonight was different. He sat on the wooden balcony outside his small home, the late evening wind brushing past him like a quiet reminder. His therapist had suggested grounding exercises, but the new workbook sitting on his lap promised something else, a doorway inward. Lucid Dreaming, a guide to conscious night travel. He traced the cover with his thumb. A ridiculous idea, he thought, and yet something inside him stirred. He read through the first pages, learning about awareness training and the anchor breath. He tried it right there. Inhale, pause, slow exhale. I am aware, he whispered. A calmness slipped into him, subtle but real. For the first time in weeks, he felt the weight on his chest ease. He performed his first reality check, staring at his hand under the fading light. 5 fingers, steady, normal. But the act of questioning felt strange, important, like knocking gently on a door he wasn't ready to open wet. Before bed, he set a notebook by the pillow. He told himself he'd remember his dreams. He didn't expect much, yet in the early hours before sunrise, something happened. A faint image like a lantern glowing behind a curtain. A shape, a sensation, a voice, or was it the echo of his own thoughts? He awoke with his heart pounding, reaching for the journal before he even opened his eyes. The page filled quickly. A forest, a figure watching him, a feeling of being guided, but from a distance. It wasn't clarity, not yet, but it was a beginning. And for Elias, that was enough.
Chapter 2. Building the Foundation. Part 1. Workbook Guidance, Mastering Dream Recall. Dream recall is the cornerstone of all lucid dreaming progress. Before the mind can wake up inside a dream, it must learn to reliably hold on to dream memories after waking. Why dreams fade? During sleep, the hippocampus, the brain's memory factory, is only partially active. Logical details slip away while emotional moments linger. With training, you teach your brain that dreams matter. Core recall principles. Stillness upon waking. Even small movements scatter dream memories. Immediate journaling. Write anything you remember, even one word. Emotional anchoring. Record the strongest feeling first, The rest often flows. Pattern awareness. Recurring symbols are early doorways into lucidity. REM timing. Waking naturally or with gentle alarms during REM boosts dream recall. Improving dream recall strengthens self-awareness in waking life. People who practice it often report greater clarity, intuition, and emotional balance. Part 2. The narrative, the hallway, expands. By the end of the first week, Elias no longer awoke with fragments. He awoke with entire scenes. The once foggy hallway sharpened into detail. Stone floors laced with veins of glowing light. Doors swayed softly as though they were breathing. Each gave off a different sound. A hum, a melody, a faint whisper. One night, the silver door pulsed brighter than ever. Elias reached for it. A surge of emotion rushed up his arm. Childhood memories, laughter, fear, the accident, everything at once. Overwhelming, but strangely comforting. He jolted awake, breath unsteady. His journal pages filled faster than he could write. "Why does that door feel like it knows me?" he scribbled. The workbook said, dream symbols often mirror the subconscious. Elias wasn't sure he believed that, but the pull toward that silver door was growing stronger, and he knew this was only the beginning.
Chapter 3. Entering the Lucid State. Part 1. Workbook Guidance, Triggering Lucidity. Lucidity begins when the dreamer becomes aware that they are dreaming. This chapter develops the neurological, psychological, and practical framework needed to reliably initiate lucidity. The neuroscience of lucidity. Lucid dreaming arises from a rare hybrid condition of consciousness. Key neurological components include 1. Prefrontal reactivation. During normal REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic, intention, and self-awareness, is largely inactive. In lucid REM, however, it becomes partially reactivated, allowing the dreamer to recognize dream inconsistencies, reflect on their state, and make intentional decisions. 2. Metacognitive loop strengthening. Researchers have found that experienced lucid dreamers show heightened connectivity in brain regions associated with metacognition, the ability to think about one's own thinking. This enhances dream-based reasoning. 3. Parietal awareness expansion. The parietal lobes help the brain track spatial orientation. Their activation increases in lucid REM, giving the dreamer clearer surroundings, better object stability, and more grounded physical sensation. Together, these biological shifts allow the dreamer to maintain awareness inside a fully immersive hallucinated world. Reality tests, the foundation of lucidity. To trigger lucidity reliably, you must train your waking brain to question reality. Over time, the habit transfers into dreams. Perform 20 to 30 times daily, with intention. 1. Hand check. Look closely at your hands. Ask, am I dreaming? Dream hands blur, warp, add fingers, or feel unreal. 2. Nose pinch test. Pinch your nose shut and try to breathe. If air flows, you are dreaming. If not, you're awake. 3. Text and digital clock check. In dreams, text changes rapidly. Look away and back. If it shifts, you're dreaming. 4. Mirror check. Dream reflections distort, lag, shift expression, or appear symbolic. 5. Memory chain test. Ask, how did I get here? Dreams fail at continuity. Night induction techniques, crafting the entry point. MILD, mild, mnemonic induction of lucid dreams. Use intention as fuel. 1. Before sleep, repeat, I will realize I'm dreaming. 2. Visualize a dream from memory. 3. Imagine yourself recognizing it as a dream. This strengthens memory circuitry that triggers lucidity. WILD, wild, wake-initiated lucid dream. Discipline technique for direct entry. 1. Lie still in a comfortable position. 2. Focus on breathing or counting. 3. Observe hypnagogic imagery without engaging. 4. Maintain calm awareness until the dream forms. 5. Step into the imagery with intention. WILD increases lucidity depth and stability. SSILD, cycle-induced, highly effective for beginners and intermediates. 1. Focus briefly on vision. 2. Focus on sound. 3. Focus on bodily sensation. 4. Repeat 3 to 6 cycles. This technique heightens sensory awareness during REM, increasing lucidity triggers. Psychological principles of induction. 1. Expectation drives outcome. Believing in lucidity increases its frequency. 2. Cognitive flexibility improves ability to recognize dream logic. 3. Emotional calm reduces premature awakening. 4. Identity fluidity allows the dreamer to accept impossible events. Lucidity is not just a skill, it is a psychological state of openness. Part 2. Narrative, the first lucid break. The storm began the way dreams often do, silently, without origin. Elias stood in the impossible hallway again, though this time it was darker, humming with a strange electricity. The air shimmered like heated metal. Doors rattled as wind howled through spaces that made no architectural sense. Something was different. Elias lifted his hands. They wavered. Their outlines shimmered like candlelight. A flicker of recognition sparked in his mind. He pinched his nose and breathed. The world snapped into focus. The storm surged, not chaotic, but vibrant, alive. Every raindrop glowed with tiny streaks of blue-white light, floating like drifting stars. The hallway was no longer dim. It was luminously awake. A voice unfurled from everywhere and nowhere. Walk. The silver door, the one that hummed like memory, the one that pulsed like a heartbeat, swung open. Light poured out, not blinding, but warm. Elias stepped forward, 1 foot into the unknown, 1 foot into full awareness. The storm hushed. The dream sharpened. His heartbeat echoed like a distant drum. He whispered to himself, remembering the workbook's lesson. I am dreaming. I am in control. But even as he said it, he sensed something waiting beyond the silver threshold. Something old, vast, and intertwined with the parts of himself he had avoided for years. He took another step, then another. The silver light enveloped him. The dream deepened. His journey had truly begun.
Chapter 4. The Conflict Deepens. Part 1. Workbook Guidance, Stabilizing and Exploring the Lucid World. Lucidity is fragile. Even when the dreamer becomes aware, the dream can collapse from emotional overload, confusion, or excitement. Mastering stabilization is therefore essential. The psychology of stability. Dreams respond to emotion more directly than waking life. Stability requires emotional regulation, that prevents collapse, focused intention, that keeps the dream coherent, and sensoromotor grounding, that anchors awareness. How the brain interprets dream sensation. The somatosensory cortex activates during tactile engagement. Visual regions stabilize with continuous scanning. Emotional centers, the amygdala, quiet when the dreamer takes intentional action. The more you interact, the more the dream solidifies. Expanded stabilization techniques. Number 1. Vocal anchoring. Speak out loud. Stabilize now. Dreams respond to verbal command. Number 2. Environmental scanning. Rotate slowly. Observe details. Light sources, textures, sounds, Movement. This engages multiple sensory channels simultaneously. Number 3. Texture grounding. Touch surfaces intentionally. Describe them mentally. Smooth, cold stone. Rough bark. Number 4. Slow walking method. Move deliberately. Fast movement destabilizes the visual field. Number 5. Dual sense engagement. Combine two senses at once, touch and sound, sight and movement, to strengthen the sensory loop. The psychological purpose of exploration. Lucid dreaming is not just a playground, it's a training ground for emotional resilience, trauma integration, cognitive flexibility, fear confrontation, identity exploration, and insight discovery. When the dreamer learns to stay present during emotional intensity, they also learn to stay present during waking conflict. This chapter prepares the dreamer and Elias for the deeper inner challenges ahead. Part 2. The narrative, the forest of mirrors. The silver light faded, and Elias found himself standing in a vast forest. But this was no ordinary forest. The trees were tall pillars of reflective glass, each one shimmering with soft inner luminescence. Fog curled along the roots, pooling like silver smoke. The air tasted metallic, humming with the energy of memory. Elias approached the nearest mirror tree. His reflection blinked back, but delayed, as if remembering how to mimic him. A chill crept along his spine. Behind him, footsteps. He turned. A figure stood there, tall, cloaked, face hidden beneath a hood of shifting shadows. The figure's voice echoed like two people speaking at once. "You've crossed the threshold. Now you face the mirrors." Elias swallowed. "What mirrors?" The figure gestured, and the reflective pillars brightened. In each reflection, Elias saw a different version of himself. One frightened, one angry, one lost, one numb, one still trapped in the moment of the accident. The guide spoke again. "This is the forest of mirrors. It shows the selves you have abandoned." A mirror rippled and stepped out. A second Elias emerged, but this one's breathing was ragged, his posture twisted as if bracing for impact. His eyes were wide, trembling, locked in the moment Elias tried so hard to forget. The broken version of himself. The figure's voice softened. "You cannot go deeper until you face the one who still lives inside the accident." Elias' chest tightened. The broken Elias spoke with a voice strained from fear and memory. "You left me there. You pretended it didn't happen." The reflective forest vibrated as though sensing rising tension. Elias took a step back. Not out of fear, but out of overwhelming grief. The guide said no more. The mirrors darkened. The air thickened. This was the first true trial. And the dream, now fully aware of his journey, would not let him look away.
Chapter 5. The Breaking Point. Part 1. Workbook Guidance. Emotional Depth Work. When a lucid dream reaches emotional intensity, the dreamer stands at a psychological crossroads. The dream will either collapse under emotional overload or open into deeper realms of consciousness. Learning to confront, not escape inner emotion, is the key to breaking through. Why emotional confrontation matters. Dreams are metaphors. Lucid dreams are interactive metaphors. When confronting fear in a lucid dream, the brain reduces amygdala reactivity, strengthens emotional regulation circuits, reshapes memories through reconsolidation, and integrates trauma in symbolic form. This process has parallels with exposure therapy, internal family systems inner child work, union shadow integration, and somatic trauma release. Lucid confrontation is a safe arena where overwhelming emotions can be re-experienced, transformed, and ultimately released. Techniques for navigating emotional intensity. 1. Name the emotion. Labeling emotions reduces their intensity. This is fear. This is grief. This is anger. 2. Dialogue with the symbol. Speak to the threatening figure, shadow, or memory. Ask, what do you represent? Why are you here? What do you need? 3. Approach, not avoid. Dreams magnify fear when you run. They soften when you move toward the symbol. 4. Transform the emotion. Command the scene to shift. Slow down, brighten, calm. The dream will respond to authoritative intention. 5. Integration through contact. Touch, embrace, or stand beside the troubled symbol. This signals acceptance, not avoidance. The psychology of the breaking point. Every transformative lucid journey reaches a threshold moment when the dreamer must face a memory or emotion powerful enough to divide their identity. This is where healing begins. Fear dissolves, identity realigns, and consciousness expands. Elias is about to cross his threshold. Part 2. Narrative, the shattering dream. The forest of mirrors pulsed with tension. The reflective pillars flickered, showing endless versions of Elias, some brave, some terrified, some lost to despair. But only one stepped forward, the broken Elias. His breathing was shallow, panicked. His hands trembled as if still gripping an invisible steering wheel. His eyes darted around, reliving the moment of the accident in an endless loop. Elias felt the weight of memory slam into him. Metal crushing, glass exploding, the impossible silence after the impact. He couldn't breathe. The cloak's guide's voice drifted like a cold wind. This is the moment you left behind. The broken Elias staggered closer. Why did you leave me? He whispered. You moved on. You tried to pretend I wasn't real. The forest dimmed. Mirrors cracked. Shadows flooded the ground like spilled ink. Elias took a single step forward. His voice wavered. Because I didn't know how to carry you. The broken Elias screamed, a raw, painful sound that made the mirrors tremble violently. Images burst around Elias. The screech of tires, the sensation of weightlessness, the shatter of glass, the impact that stole everything simple from his life. The memories hit him like a storm. His knees buckled. I'm sorry, Elias shouted, collapsing. The broken Elias fell to his knees too, trembling, clutching his chest as if trying to hold himself together. The guide did not intervene. The dream waited, watching, listening. Elias reached out with shaking hands, his voice barely a whisper. You're still me. I won't leave you again. The broken Elias resisted at first. Then, slowly, he leaned forward. Their foreheads touched. A sound like crystal fracturing split the air. Mirrors shattered in every direction. Light flooded the forest. A great wind swept through, pulling shadows apart like smoke. The broken Elias dissolved into particles of silver light and flowed into Elias's chest. He gasped as warmth surged through him. The mirrors fell silent. Then, one by one, they faded into the earth. The forest disappeared. White light engulfed everything. Silence. Stillness. Then, a single breath. Steady.
calm, whole. Elias opened his eyes. He had crossed the breaking point. The dream waited for what he would become next.
Chapter 6, Threshold of the Depths, Part 1, Workbook, Deep Dive Methods for Advanced Lucid Dreaming, Emotional Integration, and Confrontation Psychology. In this chapter, the reader moves beyond some surface-level lucid dreaming and enters the realm where the unconscious begins actively responding to the dreamer's intentions. This stage is often referred to in neuroscience and Jungian depth psychology as threshold exploration, where the subconscious reveals symbolic trials, emotional obstacles, and problem-solving landscapes. This chapter teaches high-level lucid techniques that empower dreamers to navigate difficult emotional encounters, prolong lucidity, and maintain agency even in chaotic dreamscapes. 1. Advanced reality testing, the multi-layered method. Most beginners use 1 or 2 reality tests. Advanced lucid dreamers combine several in sequence to overcome dream camouflage. The 4-step progressive reality test. Perform these 5 times per day in waking life. 1. Environment scan. Look around for impossible geometry, flickering shadows, floating objects, or repeating patterns. 2. Physical test. Push a finger through your opposite palm, look away and back at a clock to see if numbers shift. 3. Self-check. Ask, what was I doing 10 minutes ago? Is this consistent? 4. Memory anchor. Touch your chest or wrist and say internally, I am aware. By practicing this sequence, the dreamer forms a multi-point habit that transfers directly into the subconscious. 2. Emotional confrontation psychology. One common challenge in deep lucid dreams is overwhelming emotional intensity. This workbook trains you to respond with meta-awareness, self-regulation, and symbolic interpretation. The 3 rules of emotional confrontation. 1. Pause before reacting. Do not attack, run, or suppress the dream figure. 2. Ask a question. Examples are, what do you represent? Why are you here now? What lesson do you bring? 3. Stay physically still. In dreams, physical stillness stabilizes lucidity. This psychological approach reduces threat responses and transforms nightmares into insight-rich encounters. Dream stabilization, the anchor spiral technique. Useful during emotional storms, collapsing dream scenery, or when lucidity starts slipping. Steps: 1. Anchor. Grab a dream object, ground, branch, stone. Feel its texture. 2. Spiral. Slowly spin your body or rotate your vision in a small circle. 3. Expand awareness. Name 3 things you see, 2 things you hear, 1 thing you physically feel. This technique re-engages the visuospatial cortex and sensory processing areas. Deep dive induction. Hypnagogic bridging. Before sleep, use the mind-body drift technique. Steps: lie still and breathe slowly through the nose. Visualize a staircase descending into darkness. Count backwards from 100. With each number, imagine sinking deeper. When imagery becomes vivid, whisper internally, dreaming begins now. This bridges you from waking cognition into the dream threshold. 5. Symbolic tracking and integration. After waking from a lucid session, write answers to what symbols appeared repeatedly, who or what caused emotional disruption, what unresolved fear, desire, or belief did the dream exaggerate, and what did I learn or reclaim? This method transforms chaos into clarity. Part 2. Narrative. Elias steps into the abyss. The night pressed heavy around Elias as he lay in bed, palms resting on his chest, repeating the mantra he had used for weeks now. I am aware. I am ready to go deeper. The accident still lived behind his ribs like a small, persistent ache. But tonight he felt something different, a readiness, a steadiness. He breathed in, visualizing the staircase descending through dim light. Each step carried a soft echo through his mind. 100, 99, 98. The world thinned around him. And then it opened. He stood beneath a sky that pulsed between orange and violet, a desert stretching infinitely in all directions.
Sand flowed like water, shifting and swirling with every breath he took. This was new. He looked down and saw faint golden lines glowing beneath the sand, like veins beneath translucent skin. A threshold dream, he whispered. He remembered the workbook's instruction: pause, observe, look for the anomaly. A ripple appeared in the sand about 50 feet away. Something was rising. Elias grounded himself, pressed a hand to his chest, his reality anchor. I am aware. The ripple took shape. A giant stone arch clawed up from beneath the dunes, etched with symbols he didn't recognize but felt he somehow understood, as though they were memories buried beneath his conscious mind. At the top of the arch hung a massive glowing sphere, half golden light, half swirling shadow. A voice drifted from nowhere and everywhere. Traveler, this is your crossing, but the shadow follows. A chill crawled down his spine. The sandstorm of fear. The sky darkened. A hum rose across the desert. Wind whipped around him, pulling sand into spiraling columns. The storm came alive. Inside the whirling wall of sand he saw shapes: wolves, broken glass, the twisted metal of his wrecked truck, flashes of the moment his life fractured. His chest tightened. For a moment he felt the familiar panic, the helplessness of waking up inside the crushed cab. But he remembered. Pause before reacting. He planted his feet and grabbed a stone jutting from the ground, an anchor. He steadied his breath. What do you represent? He asked the storm. The wind slowed. One of the shapes stepped forward, forming into a tall figure with a mask shaped like a wolf's skull. Its voice rumbled. I am the part of you that still fears going deeper. I am the memory that stops you from crossing the threshold. He swallowed but didn't look away. The confrontation. He remembered the third rule: stay physically still. Movement could destabilize lucidity. So he held the anchor stone, kept his breath slow, and met the figure's hollow eyes. Why are you here tonight? Elias asked. The figure stepped closer, the storm falling silent around them. Because you finally descended far enough to find me. A tremor worked through him. He wasn't fighting a monster. He wasn't trapped. He wasn't in danger. He was standing face to face with the embodiment of his own fear of being broken. And for the first time, he didn't run. The figure slowly lowered its head, then dissolved into sand, carried away by a gentle breeze. The arch ahead blazed with full golden light now. Elias felt warmth spell across the desert. He stepped through. Instantly, everything changed. He stood on a floating stone platform suspended above an endless ocean of stars. Constellations swirled beneath him like living rivers of light. He felt no fear, only awe. A voice, not threatening, but ancient and comforting, whispered through the star wind. Traveler, this is the depth beyond fear. Here you reclaim the self. Elias closed his eyes. For the first time since the accident, he felt whole. When he woke, his pillow was damp with tears, but he wasn't shaken. He felt lighter, like some heavy stone had been lifted from his chest. He sat at the edge of his bed, breathing slowly. The workbook exercises hadn't just helped him stay aware. They helped him face the shadow that he had been avoiding. And he realized something profound. He wasn't just dreaming. He was healing. He couldn't wait to return to the dream world, but now, for the first time, he also felt ready to handle the real one.
Chapter 7. Integration and Return. Part 1. Workbook Guidance. Bringing the Dream into Life. Lucid dreaming isn't only about what happens inside the dream. It's about how you transform once you return. Integration is the bridge between the internal and external worlds. Why integration matters. When you wake from a powerful lucid dream, your brain is in a heightened state of neural plasticity. This means insights stick more easily, Emotional breakthroughs carry into daily behavior. Traumatic material processed symbolically becomes less reactive. Creative connections remain active for hours. Lucid dreaming becomes personal growth accelerated. Long-term practices for integration. 1. Weekly dream review. Every week, choose one dream that mattered emotionally, one symbol recurring throughout the week, one moment where you gained control or lost it. Write what each part reflects about your waking patterns. 2. Psychological pattern analysis. Look for fear themes, avoidance patterns, recurring characters, environments that shift drastically, doors, hallways, or thresholds. These are subconscious signals. 3. Daily mindfulness training. Lucidity is impossible without awareness in waking life. Strengthen it through breath work, moment-to-moment noticing, slowing automatic reactions. 4. Emotional tracking. Dreams often finish emotional processing that waking consciousness refuses to. Keep a simple chart. What emotion showed up? What triggered it? What lesson did the dream offer? 5. Application to real life. Ask yourself, what action in waking life mirrors the dream? What fear did I face in the dream that I can face today? What part of me did I integrate that can guide me now? Integration turns dreaming into healing, growth, and empowerment. Part 2. Narrative. Elias in the real world. Morning sunlight warmed Elias's face. For the first time since the accident, he didn't wake with a racing heart. The silence in his mind felt gentle, like calm ocean water instead of a storm. He stretched slowly, grounding himself. The echoes of the cosmic realm still shimmered faintly in his senses. Stars, voices, sacred pillars, none of it felt distant. It felt like a truth he had finally remembered. He walked to the kitchen. For years, even making coffee felt heavy. Today, the simple motions were peaceful, ritualistic, sacred. He breathed deeply. Not shallow, fearful breaths, the kind that held tension, but full, steady breaths that his chest hadn't allowed in a long time. He opened his dream journal. The words came effortlessly. I am whole again. I can face the world. He wrote about the doorway of light, the guide, the broken version of himself he had finally embraced. He wrote about the feeling of the dream realms, vast, impossible, healing. And he wrote about what he felt now, strength, clarity, a sense of quiet belonging. In the mirror, he saw something new, not the man shaped by the accident, not the man shaped by fear, but the man shaped by returning to himself. Elias stepped outside. The morning air hit his skin like promise. He understood something deeply. Lucid dreaming hadn't just changed his nights. It had given him back his days, his purpose, his breath, his life. The journey had not ended, but now he could walk it awake. Chapter 8. The Returned Traveler. Part 1. Workbook Guidance. Life After Breakthrough. A profound lucid dreaming breakthrough is not the end of the practice. It is the beginning of an entirely new phase. After intense emotional integration, symbolic confrontation, or spiritual expansion, the mind enters a period of recalibration. Why post-lucid integration matters? Advanced neuroscience and sleep psychology show that deep dream experiences create measurable changes. Strengthened prefrontal limbic communication, improving emotional regulation, heightened default mode network modulation, leading to greater self-awareness, improved synaptic pruning, allowing clearer thinking and memory consolidation, reduced amygdala reactivity, lowering anxiety in waking life, In other words, a powerful dream can reshape the brain. The post-lucid adjustment window. Many practitioners describe a sense of clarity and calm, increased focus and creativity, heightened emotional resilience, stronger intuitive decision-making. But they also report a feeling of longing for the lucid world, a pull toward deeper exploration, a newfound responsibility to apply insights. This chapter teaches how to balance both worlds without losing the gifts of either. Post-breakthrough practices to stay grounded while expanding awareness. 1. The anchored journaling method. Write 3 things: what the dream taught, how it changes your self-understanding, and a small real-world action inspired by it. 2. Emotional echo tracking. Lucid breakthroughs leave emotional resonance. Track what emotions linger, how they shift your behavior, what triggers or calms them. 3. Lucid responsibility framework. Advanced dreamers must practice patience. Breakthroughs cannot be forced. Respect. The subconscious reveals material for your growth, not entertainment. Discipline. Pushing too hard destabilizes sleep cycles. 4. Dream-life symbiosis technique. Use lessons from dreams to guide waking choices. Examples: confrontation equals assertiveness. Fear integration equals reduced avoidance. Cosmic journeys equals creativity and big-picture thinking. The deeper you go, the more life becomes an extension of the lucid practice. Part 2. Narrative. Elias walks between worlds. Elias woke with the soft golden light of dawn spilling across his room, but his mind still shimmered with constellations. The realm of starlight lingered behind his eyelids. He could still feel the warm cosmic wind, the crystalline hum of floating cities, the vastness that stretched beyond anything he had ever believed possible. Yet here he was, in his bed, in his quiet home, breathing, awake. He sat up slowly. The world felt both familiar and impossibly new. When he walked into the kitchen, the sun caught the surface of the coffee pot in a way that reminded him of the pillars of light in the lucid realms. Even the sound of boiling water felt symphonic, like the distant pulse of the dream's cosmic rivers. He smiled. The trauma he carried for years felt lighter, not gone, but transformed. He scribbled in his journal, "I feel like I brought a piece of the dream back with me, not as an escape, but as a strength. I feel whole. I feel aware. I feel awake." The world reacted differently. At work, people noticed. "You look peaceful," one colleague said. Another, "Did you go on vacation or something?" Elias laughed quietly. If only they knew. He began handling problems with ease. He listened more, reacted less. His mind processed emotions with calm clarity. It was as if the part of him that shattered in the accident had been reforged in starlight. Still, when night came, something stirred in him. Not fear, not desperation, but longing. A gentle pull toward the doorway of dreams. The new door. That night, as he drifted to sleep, the hallway returned, but it was different. The stone floors glowed warmer. The doors hummed with softer tones. And at the far end of the corridor stood a new door he had never seen before. Deep violet, etched with stars, alive. He felt its pull, stronger than any before. Not a demand, not a challenge, but an invitation. A whisper echoed around him. "You are ready to walk deeper."
Elias took a slow breath. This time there was no fear, no hesitation, only anticipation. He stepped forward. As he approached the violet door, he realized something profound. He no longer entered dreams to escape the waking world. He entered to expand it. The two realms were no longer separate. They were reflections. They were mirrors. They were parts of a single journey. He touched the violet door. It warmed beneath his fingers. It creaked open, and Elias walked forward, not as a broken man searching for answers, but as a traveler embracing a new horizon. A man reborn, a man awakened, a man ready for whatever new worlds awaited him.
Chapter 9. The Door of Deepening. Part 1. Workbook Guidance. Crossing into Advanced Lucidity. Once a dreamer reaches a stable, emotionally integrated lucid state, the next stage is depth exploration, learning to intentionally navigate symbolic, metaphysical, and psychological layers of consciousness. Understanding subconscious depth layers. Modern cognitive neuroscience suggests that the mind processes information in nested layers. The surface layer, daily thoughts, recent memories, minor stresses. The emotional layer, unresolved conflicts, attachment wounds, habits. The archetypal layer, universal symbols, myths, and patterns of human experience. And the transpersonal layer, experiences of unity, cosmic insight, and spiritual connection. Lucid dreaming allows access to all four, but requires discipline to navigate safely and effectively. The purpose of depth exploration, going deeper helps the practitioner untangle complex emotions, understand the roots of repeating life patterns, access symbolic information beyond waking logic, expand creativity and intuition, experience the vastness of inner consciousness. Depth exploration is not escapism, it is inner cartography. Advanced depth techniques. To navigate deeper states, use the following. First, the descent technique. In a lucid dream, look for staircases, elevators, caverns, doorways leading downward. Descending symbolizes entering deeper subconscious layers. Move slowly, observing changes in emotion and environment. Second, archetype dialogue. When encountering a symbolic figure, a mentor, a shadow, a child, a creature, ask, "Who are you?" Ask, "What do you represent?" Ask, "Why have you appeared now?" These dialogues bypass logical thinking and access deeper truth. Third, dimensional transitioning. To shift from one dream plane to another, use doorways, mirrors, circles drawn on the ground, jumping off edges with awareness. Your intention determines the destination. Fourth, core memory retrieval. To revisit important memories safely, set intention before sleep. Use grounding, touching objects, engaging senses. Observe without judgment. Speak to your past self with compassion. Trauma should always be approached slowly and with stability. Safety principles for deep lucidity. Never force scenes. Let them form naturally. If overwhelmed, spin or close your eyes to reset the dream. Use vocal anchoring to stabilize. Always journal afterward to integrate the experience. Going deeper is powerful, but must be done with respect. Part 2. Narrative. Elias stepped through the violet door.
The violet door pulsed softly beneath Elias's hand, each heartbeat resonating like a distant drum in the vastness of the cosmos. The moment he stepped through, the dream changed. He was no longer in a hallway. He was in a slow, floating world of drifting particles, each glowing like a suspended ember in the dark. The air felt thick, warm, alive. Every movement sent ripples of light across the void. Before him appeared a wide spiral staircase carved from shimmering obsidian. Each step reflected fragments of his memories, laughs, tears, quiet mornings, lonely nights. He recognized the pattern. The workbook had spoken of deeper layers. He took the first step. The dream darkened, not with fear, but with depth. As he descended, a gentle tide rose around him, glowing with soft blue light. The water carried whispers. You tried so hard to stay strong. You held too much alone. Faces of people he loved drifted by like ink in water. His mother, his childhood friends, the paramedic who pulled him from the wreck. He paused. He placed his hand into the water. A warmth flowed through him, dissolving a tight knot in his chest. Layer 2, the chamber of patterns. Further down, the water receded, and the staircase led into a vast circular chamber lined with glowing symbols. Triangles pulsed with golden light. Circles spun like celestial bodies. Lines intersected like constellations. A tall figure stepped forward, its form shifting like smoke. You are seeing your patterns, it said, in a voice like wind through trees. You're repeating choices, your cycles of pain, your unspoken desires. Elias felt exposed, but not judged. What do I do? He asked. The figure pointed to a glowing mark on the floor, a looping spiral. Step into it, it said. Break the cycle. Elias stepped forward. The spiral pulsed. His mind flashed with scenes of his life, decisions he regretted, habits he struggled with, fears he hid. Then the spiral dissolved, leaving him standing taller, lighter, more aware. Layer 3, the archetypal gate. The staircase narrowed and descended into a grand stone archway inscribed with ancient symbols. A massive mirror stood beneath it, its surface swirling like liquid silver. In the reflection, he saw not himself, but a warrior, a version of Elias with strength in his stance and clarity in his eyes. Are you who I want to become? He whispered. The warrior nodded, not with pride, but with certainty. The mirror rippled, a hand emerged, his own, yet not. Elias hesitated, then reached out. Their palms touched, a surge of power, warm, steady, grounding, flooded him. The warrior stepped back into the mirror. Elias stepped forward, and the two became one. At the very bottom of the staircase, the dream opened into a boundless sky of swirling nebulae. Stars danced like living fire. Rivers of light streamed across the heavens. Great shapes moved beyond sight, vast beings of starlight and shadow. Elias felt no fear, only awe. A voice, gentle, immense, everywhere, spoke. You are ready to see more of yourself. A brilliant doorway of pure cosmic light formed before him. It hummed energy that felt older than time. Elias took a slow breath, stepped forward, and crossed into the horizon of his own limitless consciousness.
Chapter 10. The Trial of the Shadow Self. This chapter blends deep psychology, neuroscience, and spiritual tradition with Elias's next major adventure. It also includes guided exercises, step-by-step techniques, and advanced dream work instructions. Narrative. Into the Chamber of Echoes. Elias stepped through the obsidian arch, the door of deepening fading behind him like a memory dissolving into mist. The new space he entered was impossibly vast, a circular cavern whose curved walls shimmered like liquid glass. Every sound he made, each breath, each heartbeat, returned as an amplified whisper. This was no ordinary dream environment. This was a constructed psychological space, a place shaped not by fantasy, but by the architecture of his own nervous system. The guide appeared beside him, lantern raised. "Welcome, Elias," he said softly. "This is the Chamber of Echoes, the realm where the mind reveals what it hides from itself. You've come far, but to continue, you must face your greatest teacher, the one who knows every lie you tell yourself." The guide lifted a hand toward the cavern wall. In an instant, the rippling surface condensed and darkened. A silhouette stepped forward. And it was him. But not the waking him, nor the dreaming him. This version held the weight of frustration, loss, impatience, and exhaustion in his shoulders. The eyes were sharp, almost accusatory. This was a version of Elias that remembered every setback, every moment he doubted his worth, every time he wondered if life had passed him by. The shadow self. This wasn't a villain. It wasn't a monster. It was truth. Neuroscience Spotlight. Why the shadow appears. The shadow self-experience in lucid dreaming draws heavily from 1. The prefrontal cortex re-engagement. When lucidity triggers, the prefrontal cortex partially reactivates. This increases metacognition, enhances self-reflection, and allows suppressed emotions to surface in symbolic form. This is why lucid dreams often bring up internal conflicts with intense clarity. 2. The amygdala-hippocampus loop. Deep emotional memories stored in the amygdala mix with autobiographical experiences stored in the hippocampus, creating characters formed from unresolved psychological material. Your brain isn't haunting you, it's communicating with you. 3. Jung's shadow archetype. Psychologically, the shadow represents disowned impulses, hidden fears, unlived potentials, repressed strengths. Lucid dream confrontation lets you integrate these parts rather than avoid them. In spiritual traditions, Tibetan dream yoga, shamanic vision work, and Sufi mirror practices, the shadow is seen not as an enemy, but as a gatekeeper of transformation. Narrative. The trial begins. The shadow Elias circled him slowly, like someone appraising an opponent. "Look at you," it said in his exact voice, only lower, rougher. "You're trying to heal." The shadow barked a humorless laugh. "You're trying to escape. There's a difference." The words landed like stones. Elias felt heat rise in his chest, not anger, but the kind of defensive fear that comes when someone hits too close to the truth. He took a breath. Remember the guide's teachings. Stabilize, anchor, observe without attack. Let the shadow reveal itself. He pressed his toes into the cavern floor. The texture felt like cool sand. The dream sharpened. The air stilled. The shadow's eyes narrowed. "You think pretending to be calm makes you strong? You're still carrying the accident like a chain. You still think the world looks at you differently. You still wonder if you're broken." Elias flinched. And then he realized something. The shadow wasn't trying to destroy him. It was bringing forth everything he avoided admitting. "Maybe I am afraid. Maybe I do feel broken sometimes. But that's why I'm here. That's why I'm learning. I don't want to hide from it anymore." The shadow stopped. For the first time, its expression softened. But the trial wasn't over. Workbook section. The psychology of confrontation. When you meet a shadow figure in lucid dream or in waking self-reflection, the goal is not to fight or dominate. The goal is dialogue and integration. 1. Before the confrontation. Prepare your mind. Ground your body with breath. Remind yourself, this is a part of me showing itself. Engage curiosity, not defensiveness. 2. During the confrontation. Ask these key questions. What do you need me to see? What fear are you carrying for me? What truth am I avoiding? What would help you feel heard? These questions bypass aggression and invite revelation. 3. After the confrontation. Integrate the lesson through journaling, embodied grounding, dream re-entry attempts, symbolic actions like drawing the shadow form. Integration is lifelong work. Narrative. The hard climax. The cavern darkened until only their two figures remained. The shadow stepped closer, voice raw. You want the truth? Here it is. I'm terrified that we'll never be who we once were. Terrified that the accident didn't just take something from us, it changed the trajectory forever. And you keep walking like you don't feel that. Emotion surged so powerfully that he felt the dream flicker. If he panicked now, the lucidity would collapse. He stayed his breath. I do feel it, he whispered. I feel it every day. I just didn't know how to face it. Not until now. The shadow trembled. The harshness drained from its expression, replaced with something like grief. Then take this, it said. It reached into its own chest, into its heart, and pulled out a glowing ember. A memory, a fear, a strength, all woven together. Carry this truth with you. I'm not your enemy. I'm your warning bell, your compass, your missing piece. Elias extended his hand. The shadow placed the ember into his palm. Light exploded. When it faded, the shadow was gone. Reintegrated. And he felt whole. Neuroscience insight: what integration actually does. Shadow integration in lucid dreams may reduce amygdala height reactivity linked to old fears, strengthen neural pathways of emotional regulation, increase coherence between autobiographical memory and self-identity, improved cognitive flexibility, enhance resilience and adaptive coping. Neuroscientists studying lucid dream-based therapy have seen major potential in PTSD processing, grief and loss integration, trauma reframing, personal narrative reconstruction. You become the narrator of your internal world, not just its passenger. Workbook. Advanced Confrontation Protocol. Use this when you expect emotional intensity. Step 1. Grounding your dream space. Feel the floor, engage sensation, speak your name out loud. Step 2. Emotional labeling. Name what you feel. This reduces amygdala activation. Step 3. Ask the shadow questions. Use the dialogue prompts above. Step 4. Accept without agreement. You do not have to endorse the shadow's perspective. You only need to listen. Step 5. Integration gesture. Ask, what symbol can I take with me? The mind will present an object, a color, a memory, or a sensation. Step 6. Wake with ritual. Upon waking, write the symbol down, draw it, or create a word for it. This locks the learning into long-term memory. Narrative. Aftermath and relief. Elias opened his eyes, but he wasn't awake. He was still in the chamber of echoes. Only now the walls glowed with warm amber light. The oppressive silence had become a gentle hum. The air felt breathable, soft. He pressed his hand to his chest. The ember was still there. A warmth, a knowing, a new piece of himself. The guide stepped forward again. You have done well. Facing one's shadow is the turning point of dream work and of healing. Elias lifted his head. I feel lighter, not fixed, not perfect, just clearer. The guide smiled. Good. Clarity, not perfection, is the mark of progress. You are ready for what lies ahead, and now with this integration, your waking life will feel more navigable because your internal landscape is no longer a maze of hidden fears. Elias breathed deeply for the first time without tension. He felt excitement, a rare feeling these days, surging in his chest. He was ready. Ready for real life, ready for the next dream, ready
for the journey ahead.
Chapter 11. Mastery. Living Between Worlds. Part 1. Workbook Guidance. Long-term practice and waking integration. At this stage, lucid dreaming is no longer a novelty. It is a discipline of awareness. The goal is no longer just to become lucid, it is to carry lucidity into waking life. This chapter teaches the bridge between dream mastery and daily life clarity. Number 1. The 3 pillars of long-term practice. To sustain lucid growth, you must balance consistency, integration, and emotional regulation. Number 1. Consistency. Short sessions daily are more powerful than rare, intense attempts. Number 2. Integration. Every dream lesson must be applied to waking behavior. Number 3. Emotional regulation. Your ability to stay calm determines how deep you can go. Lucidity without emotional balance leads to instability. Emotional balance without awareness leads to stagnation. You now work with both. Number 2. The lucid to waking transfer method. This is how dreams change your real life. Step 1. Identify the dream lesson. Ask, what changed inside me? What fear softened? What new choice became visible? Step 2. Match it to waking life. Ask, where does this lesson exist in my daily behavior? Who does this apply to? What habit does it challenge? Step 3. Micro-action. Take a small, real-world action within 24 hours. Speak one honest sentence. Set one boundary. Release one avoidance behavior. Try one new path. Dreams become power only when acted upon. Number 3. The neuroscience of integration. At this level, your brain is actively reshaping itself. The prefrontal cortex strengthens self-control. The amygdala becomes less reactive to fear. The default mode network shifts from rumination to awareness. Memory systems become more coherent and less fragmented. This is why deep lucid practitioners often report reduced anxiety, improved emotional stability, increased creativity, greater meaning and purpose, less fear of the unknown. You are literally rewiring how you experience reality. Number 4. The final skill, living lucid while awake. You begin applying dream awareness to daily life. You notice emotional reactions instead of being controlled by them. You observe fear without becoming it. You make choices instead of repeating patterns. You respond instead of reacting. This is known in psychology as metacognitive embodiment. In spiritual traditions, it is simply called awakening. Not mystical, not dramatic, just clear. Number 5. The ongoing practice. From this point forward, your path is simple. Keep journaling. Keep questioning reality gently. Keep confronting inner resistance. Keep stabilizing awareness under emotional pressure. Keep applying dream lessons to waking choices. There is no final level, only deeper clarity. Part 2. Narrative. Elias walks awake. Elias stood at the edge of the quiet dream field as dawnlight gathered beyond the horizon. The stars were fading. The dream world felt thinner now, not weaker, just complete. For the first time, he did not feel the urgency to explore deeper. He felt ready to live. The guide appeared beside him one last time. "You can stay longer if you wish," the guide said. Elias shook his head gently.
It's not that I don't love this place. I do. But I don't need to hide here anymore. The guide smiled. Then you understand the final lesson. Elias looked down at his hands. They no longer shimmered with dream light. They looked real, solid. I thought this journey was about controlling dreams, Elias said. But it wasn't, was it? No, the guide replied. It was about meeting yourself without running. Elias nodded. He thought of the shadow, the library of memory, the fear, the grief, the strength. All of it now lived inside him, not as weight but as structure. The world around him began to dissolve. You'll return, the guide said. Not because you must, but because you're curious. I know, Elias said. And this time I won't be escaping. I'll be exploring. Light folded inward. The dream released him. Waking, morning sunlight fell across Elias's face. He opened his eyes gently. No fear, no rush, no confusion. Just breath. Just presence. He stood, made coffee, felt the warmth of the cup in his hands. The world felt sharper, kinder, more detailed, not because it had changed, but because he had. And that night when he would sleep again, he knew something with absolute certainty. He was no longer lost in his dreams, and he was no longer lost in waking life.
Chapter 12. The Return. Walking with Two Worlds. Part 1. Workbook Guidance. Preparing to close the inner gate. At advanced stages of lucid practice, there comes an important moment that many guides never speak about. Learning how to return fully. Not abandoning the dream world, but no longer clinging to it. This stage is about psychological balance, emotional grounding, and bringing the gifts of lucidity into ordinary life without dissociation, craving, or avoidance. 2. The integration threshold. When dream work becomes deep, powerful, and emotionally transformative, the mind enters a phase known in psychology as transitional integration, the point where inner insight must be stabilized in waking identity. Signs you are at this threshold are: you feel calm curiosity instead of obsession. You dream less often, but more clearly. Emotional reactions in waking life slow down. You feel more presence in ordinary moments. The urge to escape into dreams fades. This is not loss. It is mastery stabilizing. 3. The 3 anchors of return. These anchors prevent lucidity from becoming spiritual bypassing. Anchor 1, the body. Stretch after waking. Feel your feet on the floor. Eat slowly and consciously. This reroutes awareness in the nervous system. Anchor 2, the journal. Write what you learned. Write what you feel. Write what you will apply. Dreams fade. Meaning must be recorded. Anchor 3, the world. Speak one truth aloud. Make one grounded decision. Engage one real responsibility. Balance comes from participation. 4. The final skill. Dream detachment without loss. Detachment does not mean forgetting. It means holding the dream lightly, without hunger, fear, or dependence. Say this upon waking: I bring the lesson back, not the world. This prevents confusion between inner and outer reality. Part 2. Narrative. Elias crosses back. Elias stood at the edge of the great dream horizon. The library of starlit echoes now rested behind him, silent, complete, at peace. The stars above were slowly dimming.
This time he did not feel fear. He felt readiness. The guide appeared one last time, no longer carrying a lantern. He said, "You always knew this moment would come." Elias nodded. "I don't feel like I'm losing anything." "Because you are not. You are carrying it correctly now." The horizon before Elias shimmered like a thin veil of sunlight on water. Beyond it, he could sense the weight of the waking world, heavy, imperfect, alive. Elias took one slow breath. He placed his hand over his heart. The ember was still there, steady, warm. He stepped forward. The dream did not shatter. It opened. Waking. Morning arrived without shock. No jolt, no panic, no confusion. Only breath, only light through the window. Elias sat up in bed and waited. He had learned that rushing out of dreams too fast caused the lessons to scatter. He touched the floor. He breathed. He remembered. The accident, the fear, the shadow, the library. All of it no longer felt like a burden. It felt like structure. He stood. The room was ordinary, and yet everything felt slightly brighter, not because the world had changed, but because he had returned to it whole.
Conclusion: Awakening with New Eyes. Elias's journey through the lucid dream realm is complete, but as every explorer eventually learns, endings are never true endings. They are thresholds, doorways, quiet breaths before the next step. This book began by asking a simple question: what is lucid dreaming? After the workbook exercises, the neuroscience, the spiritual traditions, and Elias's incredible journey through dream worlds that mirrored his inner world, the answer has become both practical and profound. Lucid dreaming is a tool for awareness, a tool that lets you explore and understand your inner landscape, face fears in a safe, controlled environment, strengthen emotional resilience, observe how your mind constructs reality, and reconnect with parts of yourself left behind or forgotten. It is not magic, though it feels like it. It is not escapism, though the worlds are beautiful. It is not a trick, though it reveals illusions. It is awareness. Awareness sharpened to a fine, powerful point. Everything Elias learned, you can learn. His progress was not special or mystical. He followed the very steps you practiced: dream recall, reality checks, night induction routines, stabilization techniques, emotional regulation, the confrontation of internal symbols, and the integration of lessons. Every method in this book was chosen because it is repeatable, teachable, and reachable by normal people without drugs, rituals, or external guidance. You hold the same potential. Why this work matters: we chase achievement, money, status, and security, but rarely do we chase understanding of our own consciousness. Lucid dreaming gives you a laboratory inside your mind, a temple, a classroom, a battlefield, a sanctuary. Whatever you need, it becomes. Whatever you bring to it, it reflects. Whatever you avoid, it reveals. And through this work, the boundary between dreaming and waking becomes thinner, softer, more flexible. Not because the world changes, but because you do. Elias's final lesson: when Elias confronted his shadow, integrated his fears, and reclaimed the ember of truth, something in him shifted. He woke with clarity instead of confusion, confidence instead of doubt, purpose instead of avoidance. He did not become perfect. He became aware. And that is the real treasure. He now walks through daily life with steadier steps, gentler breaths, and a quiet excitement, knowing that each night holds more worlds to explore, more lessons to learn, and more pieces of himself to understand. This is the gift lucid dreaming offers: to see your mind not as a mystery, but as a map, to walk your inner world with courage,
to wake each morning a little more whole than the day before. Your journey continues. As you turn this final page, your practice does not end. Every technique here remains available to you. Every dream holds potential. Every night is another doorway. If you continue the exercises, your dreaming and waking life will evolve. Just like Elias. Remember, dreams are not escapes from reality. They are reflections of it. And lucid dreams are the key to understanding both. You have the tools, you have the knowledge, you have the courage. Go explore. The next dream is waiting.